Hi, we're here in front of the world-famous Griffith Observatory, and we are talking about the premiere of Season 2 of Agent Carter. Two-parter, A Lady in the Lake and A View in the Dark. So, Season 2 opens up with a big 2-hour adventure event. And basically, it's the first 2 episodes of the season back to back. The Lady in the Water and A View in the Dark. These are taking place in Los Angeles. Peggy has moved out here to assist Chief Daniel Souza in an investigation of a woman frozen in Echo Park Lake. Frozen solid during one of the hottest days of the year. Very strange, very unnatural. That's why we're bringing in the SSR. Daniel Souza needs assistance, and he puts a call out to New York, and that's what gets Peggy Carter out to Los Angeles. And this is sort of going to be focusing into what we're majorly dealing with for this season of Agent Carter, and that is Zero Energy, also known as the Dark Force Energy. And this is going to be our connection into Doctor Strange's universe, our first glimpse into really trans-dimensional energy types, different dimensions and things like that. Now, we have seen the Dark Force in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the Cellist episode in Season 1, where we meet Coulson's old girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. She thinks he's dead, not really sure how the phraseology for that's supposed to be. But she's dealing with the obsessive guy who is using the Dark Force energy against her that Hydra has trained him with and weaponized. This is going to be going back, seeing the first kind of discovery of this type of thing and the developments out of that. So, Carter's investigation into the mysterious frozen lady in the water leads her to Isodyne Energy. Now, Isodyne is owned by Calvin Chadwick and his wife, Whitney Frost, and they do not want Agent Carter poking around. They're definitely hiding something. Luckily, she runs into Jason Wilkes, a scientist at Isodyne that seems very willing to help Carter, let her know what's going on. Not completely out of the goodness of her heart. He obviously has a bit of a thing for Carter, and Carter, though hiding it from herself initially, seems to have a bit of a thing for him as well. And this starts to set up some of the changes that Season 2 is seeing with Agent Carter. In the first season, she was really missing Steve Rogers. She was really kind of heartbroken, and that is where her viewpoint on relationships laid. And this, at the end of last season, though, she had let him go. She tossed the vial of blood off the bridge and sort of internally decided that he is gone and it is time to move on with her life. And that's sort of where her personally is coming into this season as well. She is starting to see people from a more romantic interest. She actually has a bit of a connection with Daniel Souza, but he's being a little hands-offish, I don't want to get too close, which we found out later is because he has a girlfriend that he's been seeing here in LA, and that may be setting up sort of a love triangle situation between Carter, Souza, and Souza's girlfriend. Well, almost fiancée, since it looked like he was about to propose to her at a point in the episode. But of course got called away to go and help Agent Carter, which is going to be his first draw at any case, which is letting us know that he hasn't entirely let Agent Carter go himself. Now, overall, I think we have a couple of good, solid episodes. Really nothing special, really just sort of setting things up, but great character work. We also get to meet Anna. We get to meet Jarvis's wife, who was only spoken about in the first season, and there was a certain speculation that she may or may not actually exist. She does exist, and she is a treat. You really get to see the relationship between her and Jarvis, how close they are, and it's nice because it is it puts Jarvis's relationship with Carter in a non-competitive perspective. Mrs. Jarvis is not jealous in any way, shape, or form. She is in love with Jarvis. Jarvis is in love with her. Thus, any other interaction with any women, any things, and even the odd circumstances, kind of compromising positions that Jarvis and Carter may be caught in is not weigh heavily on Mrs. Jarvis. She does not care. Now, she is supposed to be German, I believe, or Austrian. She starts out with a bit of accent. It kind of goes in and out through the episode. That's really the only kind of distracting thing from her character. But overall, it's a joy to have her in here, and it is a joy to kind of see this other relationship where you don't have to have a love triangle. You can have a male and female interacting without any of that will they won't be type of energy. That's not here, and it's explained really well with Mrs. Jarvis's character. And I think she's a great addition and a great, I don't know, bounce board for Peggy. She sees the world in a different light, in a much more free-flowing, exciting, kind of almost later on would be perfectly set in the 60s in that type of relationship idea. Not so much of the free love. Jarvis and her are definitely together, but more in the aspect of she's a hugger, she's very physical, she's very, her energy is just kind of right there. She is a free-flow individual, and it is a nice kind of, like I said, bounce board for Carter to go off of in dealing with Jarvis. Now, I did have a few questions in dealing with Wilkes. When they first introduced him, they just treated him as a character, as a scientist, as someone in the background. And personally, I thought that that was great. I thought that it was good that you can have an African-American actor in a significant role, and race wasn't necessarily the issue. That's how it seemed in the first episode. When we get into A View in the Dark, we go a little bit more of Wilkes' backstory. He is meeting at a colored club with Peggy. There is discussions about him being black and training as a scientist and not getting a job, that Isodyne was the only place that was going to hire him. I appreciated also that they did hit that point, because it did leave a few questions in my mind. Are they just ignoring this? You know, how are they going to deal with the race issues? Obviously, 1947, much different picture than we have nowadays. But I thought they handled it well. It was not a big deal. They did hit on some of the cultural aspects of the moment. But Peggy's British, and the British relationship with African Americans, with black actors, with black, is an entirely different thing. In fact, after World War I, after World War II, a lot of African American soldiers that fought in the U.S. Army actually stayed in Europe because there was a lot more acceptance over there. They weren't feeling the same sort of racial feelings that were happening still in the United States. So that she kind of reflects that doesn't even really think about it. It's a nice cultural moment, and I think it's just a nice thing to see, is that people can have relationships regardless of race, even at any time. So I'm glad that they hit on that he was a good relationship attraction for her. Again, she is now single, she is opening up, she is willing to see the possible relationships, possible love in her future, and it was nice to have that little bounce board back and forth. Unfortunately, he did seem to perish at the end of the episode. Sorry, spoilers. But we don't know. See, that's the thing, and that's with Marvel, which we always have to be careful with. If we do not see someone dead, they may not be dead. He may have been absorbed in, he may have gotten something else, he may pop back up later on, either wounded from the Dark Force or taken over by it. We don't know. He could be dead, but it's Marvel, so you always have to hold off. However, Whitney did seem to get a bit of that Dark Force in her. It was seen scratched up on her face right there. And that is going to lead her into, obviously, a more involved aspect of this. And we do find out later on that she is to become the villain, Madame Mask, which is kind of very exciting, always when they're bringing in new characters into the series. It's always nice to see that and kind of reflect things out. We had Leviathan last year. We're going to go into more of Madame Mask. Isodyne energy doesn't really exist in the Marvel Universe, but they were closing that down, so that could change over, be absorbed by Roxxon Oil or any of those other corporations that exist within the Marvel Universe and have proven to do bad things. And of course, let's not forget Dottie. Dottie Underwood, the Black Widow agent from last season who escaped, is caught at the very beginning of the first episode of this season. She is attempting a bank heist. She's doing the full Peggy Carter thing with the red hat and all, but of course, Peggy is waiting for her conveniently inside the bank vault in a very nice moment to upset her. Now, there's a nice little fight sequence with Dottie, which I kind of appreciated. It's very intense. It really maintains a lot of the quality that has gone on for fight scenes with this series. But I'm hoping that they at least twist it up a little bit. It's still very much kind of like guy fighting, very straight punches here and there. The occasional kicks, I thought they did a little bit better job of it last season as it opens up this. Maybe it's the close quarters. Not sure. It was a great fight sequence. I'm just hoping that they bring a little stylistic differences so it's not just looks like two guys fighting, but unfortunately they're two girls. I just really would like a change of the styles for that. But a really nice bit. Love whacking her in the back of the head with the bag of coins to end it. Very nice. And of course that leads to the interrogation scene. Now, Jack, who was promoted to section chief last season, is of course still in charge right now. And you can see there's a lot of jealousy going on between him and Peggy. Peggy is obviously the top agent. She's the one that is interrogating Dottie, and the other agents are very excited about watching her work. And this just is further undermining Jack's feeling his authority. However he's approaching it, this is why when Sousa calls that he is ready to send Carter out right in the middle of the interrogation and send her off to LA. Jack's attempt to take over the interrogation doesn't work quite so well. Dottie just pretty much literally turns the tables on him, turns the tables over on him to show that really she is the better person in this interrogation room. Jack just doesn't really have doesn't have the backbone, doesn't have the training, doesn't have the mindset in order to take somebody on like Dottie. Now, Dottie was in the bank not to steal money, but to steal a pin with a little triangular engraving at the top of it, sort of diamond pin, and we see that reflected back in the meeting for the board at Isodyne. When Calvin is called in the meeting and informed that Isodyne is being shut down, that they are taking the dark matter, the dark force away, and they're shutting everything down. We see over the door, and we see on all of the people at the meeting that pin that Dottie was trying to steal from the bank that was inside of a safe deposit box. We don't go into what that is, but obviously we are having a connection between Dottie and the people behind the Dark Force and Isodyne. And that further gets complicated when Kurtwood Smith comes in. He is playing the mentor to Jack, and he is in the FBI, takes over the interrogation, pulls Dottie out, and takes her away. Jack is a little upset, but Kurtwood has a very good point to him. The SSR is a wartime organization. It is dying. The war is over, it's going to be shut down. The FBI is coming in, the CIA is going to be formed soon. And he is letting Jack know, don't be in charge of a dying organization. Be ready to be an important person in what comes next. Now, because of the pin, because of Dottie, because of these connections we're seeing back on the other course, on the other coast, pretty much implies that this is our beginnings of Hydra's infiltration. They're probably starting in with the FBI, maybe going to the CIA. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not yet formed, of course, so they can't go into there. But I think we're starting to see the manifestation of these darker forces being set within the universe, starting to establish themselves and trying to recruit people to their cause. And that pretty much wraps up the opening of Agent Carter. Like I said, very exciting couple of episodes, really sets up the next few weeks. Excited to see what is going to happen and how these stories are going to progress. And of course, we're going to be talking about it all right here. Please press like if you enjoyed what I have to say. Feel free to subscribe. Put a comment in the section below. I love to hear what you guys are talking about, what your questions are. Inspires me to go and find some more things. So, I'm going to go finish taking a look around here, and I am out of here. I'm D, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.